We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us, talking about the measles situation this morning. Dr. Calvin Smith from Meharry. I was reading, and he said it earlier. I mean, you talk about how this vaccine is 100% effective. It works, okay? And I see a professor at Johns Hopkins is basically saying, if you're in a room with someone infected with measles, there is a 95% chance you will be exposed to the virus and then potentially infected if you're not vaccinated. But I mean, 95% chance you are exposed. Now, whether or not it takes hold, you might get lucky. If you have a vaccine, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But man, I didn't realize it is that crazy contagious until you really came on the show.
Measles is that party crasher that shows up uninvited, and it stays around until the very last drink is gone. The measles stays in place. It's, you know, I mean, when we talk about one of the biggest fears with COVID, when we didn't understand a lot about it, was it going to act like measles? Was it going to be around and contagious to that extent?
Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't as contagious. The measles is still the lineal champion for contagiousness, but
unbelievable.
It's wild.
Okay, so it also, some of the studies say right now that they found some 82% of parents of children under the age of 18 say they normally keep their child up to date with recommended vaccines. That's down 8 percentage points from the year before.
Correct.
So it was up to 90%. So again, the reason that parents aren't vaccinating their kids, there's not a single one. Okay,
right.
One, as you said, there may be some that just, you know, are believing, you know, the falsehoods that are out there about vaccines, okay? But then two, there's some that maybe just, it's not on their mind. It doesn't cross their mind. They're not aware of it.
Sure.
They need to be educated.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. And we've forgotten some of the things like SSPE that can happen because we don't see them, right? But when you start to see these things again, unfortunately, then the importance will start to come back. But by then, you know, the horse is out of the barn. So you talked about that study that said 82%, and we talked about earlier, 80 is the threshold. When you get below 80 in the community, that's when you're really starting to worry about an outbreak. And, you know, when we look at percentages, you know, percentages are pockets here and there. So in one community, it might be 99%, in another community, 75%. And you start to add those numbers up, and that's how you get to the 80.
Yeah, then
right?
you're getting away from herd immunity, which a herd is like, you think about a herd of buffalo. And if they're all vaccinated, then the germ has no place to go.
Right.
But if there's one or two, then it starts taking hold.
Right. And, you know, these are hard conversations to have, Nick. They're super hard conversations to have. There's a lot of information out there on the internet, and there's a lot of information out there readily available that is both good and bad. I will tell you that we as physicians have a responsibility to talk to people and engage people and meet them where they are.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's not privy to the same information, and then some things are a little bit more persuasive than others, and they're written that way on purpose, you know, to try to get people, and especially if it appeals to what you already know. Like, yeah, this makes sense, you know, you gravitate to it, you hold on to it. But we as the medical community, and you know, I'm not trying to, you know, there are a lot of things that doctors are responsible for.
Yeah.
We have you know, I have a lot of sympathy. Yesterday was Doctor's Day. You know, there's a lot going on in our community that vexes us and bothers us. That said, the most important thing for us is the community of people we treat.
Well, that's why you became a doctor. That's what breaks your heart. I mean, these people that don't believe or they think you're out. I mean, he's a doctor because he cares about people, and it's got to break your heart when you know we have a perfect solution for what will protect your child, and then we have parents seeing their babies die because they don't do it for whatever reason. They didn't know about it, they were misled, they believed the wrong people. That's got to tears me up. But it's got to, and we know, just like with COVID, they ignore it and they ignore it. Someone gets sick, can you give them the vaccine now? Don't work that way. You know, you blew it off and now you're sick and you want it too late. You're in trouble. You can't wait.
Well, you know, and again, it's people come in with what they come in with and how they were raised and, you know, their level of education. And, you know, sometimes people are educated just enough to know just a little bit, you know, and that can be dangerous too. But the long and short of it is that, like, you know, with these conversations, you got to take the time with someone you trust. And building the trust, and I know in the community, there's a lot of reason to not trust individuals that, you know, are in certain positions. And, you know, sometimes, like, I take the tack of trying to talk to people because I don't know what level of education they have. So I talk to people pretty much with the same, like, kind of information, and I ask a lot, do you understand what I'm saying? And that actually offended somebody I was talking to not too long ago because they were like, well, I'm a nurse, I know, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to back off and say, look, you know, I talked to all of the patients and everybody I interact with the same, so that I can try to make sure I reach the biggest number of people. It's not my intent to talk down to you. But that being said, sometimes people have that feeling with doctors, and there are some doctors that, you know, just frankly don't know how to talk to people. You know, they're great. They're very smart. They understand medicine. They understand a lot of how to treat things, but the communication to your patients, and we have to do better about that. You know, that's part of why I'm in medical education, is to try to teach medical students not just about the nuts and bolts of diseases, but also about, you know, the general population and treating people as a front-facing person. You definitely have to have patience,
of course,
you know, and you have to have, unfortunately, time is a big part of it too. And we're kind of short on our time.
I know.
You know, and so the art of learning how to deal with your time and how to manage your time, you know, if you have a patient that, you know, is willing to hear information, spend that time with them, and, you know, really err on the side of spending more time with your patients than less, and talk to them and listen and understand. A lot of times we talk to people, we have conversations. The most effective conversations are when I'm talking to you and I'm trying to understand what you have to say. And I pause and think for a little while, and then I answer to understand rather than to reply just directly to you. So it's like back and forth, like pickleball.
Yeah, no, but you're so right. Just the way you and Dr. Schaffner, I mean, I've said it on more times. How do you guys not get? And the point is, I get frustrated, and I'm not a doctor, and sometimes I just get ticked off at people's stupidity. But doing it the way you do, and there's no point. If you're going to bash them, you're not going to change their mind. So if it maybe you try to reason, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but at least you're giving it a shot, and maybe you have a chance at them realizing that science is better than listening to some Hollywood nitwit or some stupid uncle who calls you and says, hey, go use ivermectin. Okay, that kind of stuff. All right. So you've got to balance it. And again, I don't got that patience. I ain't a doctor, and I get mad at people.
Let me just tell you a quick story. I got a really good friend that's a pediatrician in the community. Very fiery. I love her. I'm the godson to her son is my godson. I'm her godfather to the kid. Anyway, very fiery. She has a pediatrics office, and she doesn't let people in who are anti-vax. She's made that decision. She says, hey, you are putting my patients at risk. And so, you know, to your point, Nick, there are a lot of doctors out there that are super passionate to that end and say, hey, man, you know, I'm not going to let you expose these babies that I see, these sick babies. You know, you've made a choice, and that's fine. But for my general population, I'm not doing that. You know, and I see that side of it. I understand, like, you know, like just that exposure, because it's so contagious. And I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
no, I see what you're saying, because you're thinking Hippocratic oath. You know, you take people in, but they're not just doing it. See, I'd be the kind of doctor that'd say, I don't care if I have other patients here I want to protect. I'm ticked off at you. I ain't treating you. See you later. Now, that's not the right way to be. But I understand these other doctors who have a room full of babies that are ill. They want to make sure anyone else that comes in is vaccinated, so they don't risk infecting them, and that's understandable. But then I feel bad for these people who are going to need some help and maybe can be reasoned with, can't come in. So I hope there's a lot of doctors still that, you know, try to reason with them. I'm just glad they're showing up at a doctor's office.
That's where the battle begins. You're right.
Let's go to Jean. Hi, Jean. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Thank you so much for doing this, by the way, with the vaccines. I am a baby boomer, and so I'm going to go the opposite end of it and encourage people in my age group to get the shingles vaccine, the pneumonia vaccine, RSV, and, of course, COVID.
Absolutely.
Keep up to date on those things. So, you know, you got both ends of it, and hopefully enough people will seek the truth through the science. And in doing so, we will nip this in the bud. I'm one of those sugar cube kids.
Me too. Me too.
You know, that was a big deal with the polio thing, and I understand that was, and I'm grateful that was available. But and you know, people using scare tactics to have people encourage people not to have their children vaccinated. Well, fear's not going to solve any problem.
I agree.
We know that.
I agree.
And if you really, this is my opinion again, if you really, really love your kid, you protect them in all areas of their life, and that includes the vaccines. Thanks for taking my call.
Excellent call. Well, she's right, and I do believe these parents who choose not to get the vaccine for whatever reason it is, and there can be different ones, think they're doing what's right. They want to care for their child and do what's best, but the scare tactics goes both ways. I mean, the ridiculous scare tactic out there that the measles vaccine gives you, you know, Asperger's syndrome or whatever, is false. The scare tactic on the other side is legit. if you don't vaccinate your child when it's small and your child gets the measles, there's a real chance that child could die.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a scare. I mean, I guess it is. That should scare you, but that's real. Your child is not getting autism from measles vaccines, okay? But your child could die from measles if it gets it.
Yeah, and I look at it more, I understand the point, like fear will drive people away, for sure. And that was, really, from the visits that we've had when I talked about COVID and everything like that, I wanted to emphasize that with that as well, is that, we're not doing people a service by making them fearful. You shouldn't be fearful. As a matter of fact, you should have less fear coming out of a conversation with somebody who is knowledgeable. If I'm doing my job, when you leave the conversation with me, you are reassured. And I think that to the point that she's making, we have to take a lot of the responsibility in our field in medicine.
She's right, yeah.
To make sure that we're not necessarily scaring people. Now, I will say withholding the information about what the outcomes, to your point, like the fact that you do put yourself at a serious risk of preventable death when you are unvaccinated, particularly with the SSPE, which is random. Putting those facts out there, and if someone is fearful because you've given them those facts, it's kind of irresponsible to leave them there. You have to reassure them that, look, this is the risk and this is the benefit, and leave someone with the understanding of what the risk that they're taking is. A lot of times when people know exactly what the risks are, they will make a decision that is in their benefit. Nothing is more passionate than a parent who has a sick child.
Yep.
I get that. Or a parent who has a child who has an illness or something that they don't understand. And autism is one of those things that, like, for a very, very long time, and even to an extent today, we have not as much understanding about why children get autism and what happens with autism and how we, are able to raise our children with autism to have a healthy adult life.
Yep.
So I get the fear. I get that lack of understanding there. A lack of understanding almost always leads to fear.
Yeah.
The more understanding you have,
the more comfortable you are. And listen, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Our final segment, more calls and our final conversation with the doctor right after this.